cancer sucks. But the more things seem to suck, the more important it is that we trust in the process and do what we can. And what I can do right now is trust that this glimpse into my creative process will help you and encourage you to trust in your own inspiration. Seeking magic on the way to my breast cancer checkup, we found that forcing a to-do list of winter wonders is not as magical as the existing magic of imagination. I would like to briefly touch on a very long and ongoing medical saga. It was in the middle of our travel decision of whether or not to extend our Italian adventure when I found the massive and evidently aggressive lump in my breast, which seemed to appear out of nowhere. Then, not long after deciding to stay and park the RV for come what may, the lockdowns hit. I had survived emergency surgery, but the expander needed for reconstruction was still in. It was painful and miserable and uncertain, and just every inch of my soul ached, and it was just terrible. But I kept thinking to myself, okay, I'm alive. Think of the people right now when the hospitals are closed that aren't going to have their lump discovered, that aren't going to be rushed into emergency services. That kept me able to manage the pain and misery of this thing just like stuck. It was under the muscle and it was like pulling. This in Santa Angelo has been my home away from home many times throughout my surgery. So terrible. I'm so thankful it's gone. I want to be clear that my personal agony and disappointment in the reconstruction journey does not reflect the amazing world-class medical care center, nor the amazing, angelic, and heroic staff who navigated a frickin' global health crisis. Just to be clear. When the hospital reopened and it was time to resume the expansion process that had been delayed, we found that everything was kind of healing around this thing that was not intended to be left in. So it was basically, we either do a whole nother surgery, an extra surgery. I still had, I don't know how many surgeries left to look forward to for this whole reconstruction process. How many times, do you remember? How many times I had to stay here for days on end? Either do another surgery, take it out, and then basically we're back to the beginning after the first surgery with a new implant, but after all this frickin' trauma. Or we could just proceed to the reconstruction and hope the implant fits without the stretching and, hope for the best. We proceeded to the reconstruction without finishing the expansion process after the long delay. That was like really painful. And then it actually opened. So I had to go have another surgery to close that. I had been in so much pain for so long. I had been patient. I'm not trying to freak anybody out about the anesthesia, but of course there are risks with every medical procedure, and it's not that uncommon. It is fairly rare that you have a reaction that they described as a panic attack. Yeah, you panic when you can't breathe. But I had even endured one procedure where they took fat from the leg to insert into the breast through liposuction, and for some reason my body went to sleep before my mind, and so before I lost consciousness, I could no longer control my breathing, which was a little bit terrifying. And then afterward I woke up gasping and shaking inconsolably for hours. And now my legs are left with this bizarre, freaky, purple web-like pattern. When the incision opened for the second time, I basically found the strength to assert what I had timidly been suggesting all along. While I was eternally grateful for the life-saving treatment, very grateful, I was never convinced that the opportunity of reconstruction would actually benefit myself, personal self-esteem in the way that their studies and research had indicated. Long story short, I finally got the implant removed. I'm completely free of any kind of prosthetic, and I'm thrilled. However, I do feel that the location is a little bit more concave than it probably would have been had I just put my foot down in the beginning and left all the extra skin. Now it feels like the skin is kind of like fused to my ribs, so I don't have much turning radius. And I'm very thrilled that the checkup seemed to go well. Not only do my ribs feel traumatized by the expander left in for so long, so tight, I have a couple hard little balls that the doctor cannot identify. So he scheduled me for an ultrasound. He doesn't seem very concerned at the moment, and if he were to make a wild guess, it could potentially be stitches left in from the other procedures. So we will see. At every juncture, I interjected that I did not believe that my self-esteem was contingent on the aesthetic outcome. What was detrimental to my self-esteem was the ongoing pain and suffering. Well, many women undergo selective breast augmentation without medical necessity. It's not for me. It boils down to personal decisions, personal esteem, and it's all about your life, your choice. Mission accomplished. It really does feel like it's about to snow, huh? Oh my gosh, there's snow, it's the first snowdrop. Are the windows frozen? No. We are off to the Karma Cafe. Please subscribe to support the quest to create a life worth sharing. In response to all of the questions about the skulls, what's up with the skulls and the half skull, is it life and death? This is one way to look at it. The skull is not of death, but of mortal life, and the face is not of life, but of immortal divine. Or, the skull is not of death, but of mortal life, and the face is not of life, but of immortal beyond. Something like